My name is Breynas. For COVID restrictions, I was looking after or caregiving for my 79-year-old grandpa at the time. Because at the time I was working night shifts, so it was easier for me, even prior to COVID restrictions, it was easier for me to be the one in my family that cared for my grandpa, which meant taking him to his appointments during the day, taking him to the pharmacy or going to the pharmacy myself to grab his repeats of medications. Even just little things like cooking him his dinner, making sure he has lunch, um, making sure he's not just sleeping the whole day. During the COVID restrictions, there were some challenges we found, or I found, and one of the main ones was his GP were taking face-to-face consultations, but they didn't let their patients know, or they didn't let anyone know about that. We were trying to ring through to the GP and no one was picking up, or we were being left on hold, and then just the phone would cut off, so we would have no idea what was going on. And then when we finally got through, they were explaining that they're only doing over the phone consultations, or there was a possibility of Zoom consultations if they wanted. But my grandpa likes things done a specific way, which is fine with us. So he preferred face-to-face contact with his doctor, because just being his age, he likes to show them what's wrong and everything. And like, just, yeah, I guess it's just easier for him to see on the doctor's face, like, what's going on, what's really the truth and everything. He's also deaf in one ear, so like over the phone he can't really hear well. You could tell my grandpa wasn't explaining really what was wrong, like what was he feeling at the time. He just said like his basic, like, oh, he needs his inhalers, he needs this medicine, but at the same time he wasn't feeling too well himself, but he didn't want to say that over the phone. Also, super clinic, my grandpa has a few checkups at super clinic just for his like heart, his ears and his eyes. Yeah, had been booked prior to COVID restrictions hit, and we didn't get a text or a call to say, oh, his appointment's being cancelled because it's not priority. So I remember there were a few times, maybe one or two times, we took him to his appointment at super clinic because there was no text or call saying that it had been cancelled, just to be turned away at the door because it had been cancelled. And not only was that frustrating for me, but it was more frustrating to see my grandpa like upset that there was no communication with like his appointments being cancelled, or not even an explanation why it wasn't priority because of his age. Like, what I learned or what I got out of caring for someone during COVID restrictions is that there are tweaks that could be made, like more communication from GPs or specialists. But I guess the main realization out of this is, because my grandpa is still able-bodied, like he's not total dependent on everyone. Like, he's still independent and can do majority of the stuff himself, just apart from the driving part. But I guess the realization for me was like, what help are caregivers that are caring for people that are less able-bodied than my grandpa, or need a lot more help. Like it must be so much harder for them. Not even that, but like old people who don't necessarily have their kids at home with them and they're just looking after themselves on their own. Like, there's so many barriers during COVID that could have hit them, like language barriers, not having the ability to like drive or like know what's going on. I guess that was a realization. So along with the challenges, there's also the rewarding aspect to caregiving during COVID. And one of the massive ones for me were that my family were all working from home during the day. So it wasn't just me and my grandpa home during the day. So there are other people, like my mum would take it upon herself to cook lunch and dinner, or spend her lunch break watching things on YouTube with my grandpa. Because my family also lived next door to us, my aunties would come over and see if my grandpa was okay. And it kind of like brought everyone together. Like, no one was just stuck in their room during the whole COVID lockdown. Everyone was just like out in the lounge, out in the dining room. Everyone had like different things to do, which like you could see on my grandpa's face. It was nice to have everyone around during the day instead of just it being us two. Along with having everyone around at home during the day and night, it was like a sense of relief and like weight off my shoulders that I wasn't having to like do everything for my grandpa by myself during the day, because I wasn't having to cook, clean, and watch him take him to his stuff and like be the one on the phone with the GPs. That was a massive help as well, because if I didn't want to talk to people on the phone about like why he's not getting an appointment or anything, I'll just be like to my aunties or my mum, oh, can you guys call this one for Pa? Like, I don't want to deal with it. And they're happy to do it, because and also they were like glad they could work from home as well, because they were able to help care for him. And I know it was a relief for them as well, so they weren't like pulled away from work all the time. Yes, that was riveting. My name is Breynas, and I looked after my grandpa.